Welcome to the Business Authors Show, where authors and books bring you insight in the many facets of the business world. So sit back, listen, and learn with your host, Danielle Hampson.
How's your finances? Is the state of your finance keeping you up at night? Welcome to the Business Authors Show. I'm Danielle Hampson, and if it does keep you up at night, although it is no consolation, know that you are not alone in this boat. But help is on the way with my guest today. His name is Tony Raygoza, and he is the author of Financial Success for the Rest of Us, 10 Proven Steps to Master Your Finances and Reach Your Goals. Welcome to the show, Tony.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
After graduating from college, Tony Raygoza worked for 31 years in the petrochemical industry. He has also been a student of personal finance and investing for more than 30 years. This interest and knowledge led him to develop and refine the Financial Success Program detailed in his book. Utilizing this power and proven process, he was able to retire totally debt-free at the age of 51. Tony, you work in one industry, but you were in love with another one, finance. Would you please describe for us your path to finance?
I've always been interested in managing and investing money since I was a young adult. Really got serious, though, when I made a big mistake in the stock market. In 1987, there was a pretty severe bear market, and like many people have done, I pulled my money out near the bottom of that bear market. And I realized soon after that I'd made a big mistake. A mistake that still happens, today. At that point, I got serious and started studying finance and investing, even though I was working in another career, and I've been studying for over 20 years, and just recently decided to get my certificate in financial planning, which I will have next month.
Now, most authors have one very specific reason for writing a particular book. What was your reason for writing Financial Success for the Rest of Us?
Two reasons, actually. One of my longtime goals was to write a book. I've always wanted to do that. And secondly, I wanted to teach my children everything that I had learned. Again, I spent a lot of time trying to perfect a system that would work for me, and I wanted to share that with my children. So this book was a way to accomplish both those goals, and I wanted my kids to have the financial start that I wish I had had from an early age.
Now, I think it's great that you wanted to write the book for your kids, but other than them, who did you write the book for? In other words, who specifically do you think should go out there, buy and read your book?
Well, I think my book can help anybody that wants to learn more about personal finance and how to better and manage and invest their money. But since I wrote it with my own kids in mind, and they're young adults, I would say that my primary target audience would be young adults between the ages of 18 and 30 or so, and especially young married couples. They have the most to benefit from my book.
You know as much as I do that there are plenty of other books out there on the topic of personal finance. How is your book different from the rest of them?
You're right. There are a lot of books on this topic, but I believe mine is unique. It contains a comprehensive step-by-step guideline that covers all the important aspects of managing and investing money. And it's concise, and I think written in a way that's easy to read, understand, and implement. And because of all that, I believe that my book is more practical and more useful than most of the books out there.
In other words, it's not going to scare people away as most financial books do?
Not at all. I purposely avoided the technical theory because it really isn't necessary. I try to get right to the meat of what do people need to learn how to do this, because too many people learn this the hard way, basically by trial and error, making costly mistakes over the years, because our school systems, they really don't teach people how to effectively manage and invest their money. And the benefits of doing that from an early age are tremendous. So many people miss out on those opportunities.
Now, the subtitle of your book is 10 Proven Steps to Master Your Finances and Reach Your Goals. Can you please guide us through some of these steps?
Sure. Well, one of them, a very important step, is developing and using a budget. And I know a lot of people, when they hear the word budget, they think of negative things, but it is so important for a person or a family or couple to have a budget. Most financial planners will tell you that you cannot optimize your finances without a budget. So that's, in fact, the number one step in my book. And it's really painless, if done properly, but it can make a huge difference. Another one is properly using credit. Credit is a powerful financial tool, but too many people use it improperly, especially starting out, they get too deep into debt, and it can take years to dig out of that, preventing them from getting ahead. And then another very important step is maximizing the return on your investments. You know, the stock market has averaged about a 10% return over the last century, but the average investor only achieves about half of that because they make very common and costly mistake.
Well, let's stick with that, to maximize the return on your investment, because that is one particular chapter in your book that raised my attention. I agree that one should indeed do that, but it really is easier said than done, especially since higher returns generally call for higher risk, and most of us do not really have the stomach for high risk. So how do you propose one goes about it?
Well, I don't want to give too much away, because I'd like people to read my book, but the problem that most people have is trying to beat the market. You know, when they first get into the market, they think it's easy to do, and it's not, even for the pros. And most people take decades to learn that. So I lay out a very practical approach that actually reduces risk and will give people more returns if they are going to go into the market, which that has provided the best returns overall than any other opportunity. But again, you can lower risk and you can do much better, because again, most people play the market incorrectly, and most professionals cannot beat the market averages. So it's a misconception that people are going to go in there and earn great returns without the risk by timing the market. And that's where the big flaw is, and I go over that in detail in the book.
One of your steps also says pay yourself first. That's something very difficult to do for a business owner when he or she has no real cash flow to work with. Why is this step so important?
If you don't do that, it's a philosophy basically that, you know, you are the most important person for your family in terms of your finances. And even though it may be tight for many people, especially these days, coming out of a recession, one of the worst ones we've had in the history of the U.S., it can be tight for many people. But if they restructure their finances, especially using a budget, it's amazing what you can free up. And that philosophy of paying yourself first means you pay yourself first, if at all possible, before you even pay creditors. Because if you don't, the money will be gone. And if you pay yourself last, there's almost never anything left. So it's just a different approach of looking at it. You still have the same amount of money, it's how you prioritize it. You put yourself on the top instead of at the bottom, like unfortunately too many people do.
Let's go to your step number 8, be a smart consumer. That's true more today than ever before, I believe. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I dedicate a whole chapter to that, and in there I give dozens of individual steps that people can take to reduce their cost of living. You know, from the amount they pay on interest to mortgages, to their food bills, utility bills. There's a lot of ways to reduce, again, your overall cost of living. You know, and you can find a lot of these on the internet, but I've condensed them all down in one easy little chapter that, you know, can save people hundreds and even more on their budget monthly. If they go through item by item in their budget, you can really save a lot of money if you shop around, basically, and look for better opportunities, and there are a lot of opportunities to save money.
Now, have you personally applied all of these steps in your financial program in your book, and if so, how has that impacted your life?
Yes, I have, for many, many years. Again, this is a system that I developed and fine-tuned, again, trying to do the best I could with my finances, so I have applied them all. I wish I'd applied them all from my 20s, but I didn't. It was a continual process.
When did you start applying them?
Well, I was in my 20s, but at that point it was maybe only a couple of them. And then slowly, as I mastered the other areas of personal finance, I did better and better. So the 10 steps I feel I master now, but I didn't master all 10 in my 20s. And if I had, I'd be much, much better off. That's why I'm hopeful that, you know, young people will pick up my book and start off on the right track early. But to answer your question, yes, I've applied them. And one of the biggest benefits, which would not be obvious, is that it's helped me and my wife to have a better marriage. You know, money problems are probably the number one issue causing divorce in our country.
Right.
So in the book, I recommend that couples apply the program together, get on the same page financially, so to speak, And once you do that, money problems may still be there, but you tackle them together with the same approach, the same goals, the same ideas, and you work through them relatively easily versus always having a different opinion of what you should do with your money. So I can say, without a doubt, the biggest benefit is it helped me and my wife to have a better marriage, and I believe it can do that for many couples out there. Financially, it's helped me tremendously as well. I have achieved the financial success I desired, as well as the majority of my goals that I set for myself using the 10 steps in my book.
Assuming that in your 10 steps in your book you also include savings, did you start that also at an early age in your career?
I sure did, but again, I wish I could have done more had I started it better, and especially in the investing area when I was younger, because again, I made some mistakes. It took me a while to really fully understand the risk and reward of the stock market, and I made some common mistakes like a lot of people do. And that's one of the biggest benefits of the book, is to help people avoid those mistakes and capitalize on what you can achieve if you manage your money right from an early age.
Now, you said earlier that you wrote not only the book for your children who are young adults, but also for young couples. As somebody, we in a baby boom generation, all the baby boomers are starting to retire. Would it be too late for them to start?
No, like I mentioned earlier, my book can help anybody that wants to improve their knowledge of personal finance and manage and invest their money better. If they don't feel they know it all or really do it expertly, I think my book can help them. It covers pretty much the entire spectrum of managing and investing money.
So it's never too late to learn how to manage your money. That's the bottom line.
Exactly. When I say the younger people and couples have the most to gain, it's because they have more time to invest and save. That's the only reason.
There is one paragraph that touched me particularly in your book where you talk about counting our blessings for the good things in our lives and showing gratitude by helping others less fortunate. Why did you include this in your book?
Good question. Well, that's just something personal that I feel strongly about, and I included it because I'd like people to consider that. We live in one of the greatest countries, in my opinion, the greatest country in the world, with tremendous opportunities to have a happy and fulfilled life. Even though times are tough now, it will get better. So most people have a lot of things they should be grateful for, and my own opinion is when we do have those things, we should try to help others that maybe are less fortunate. I'm a believer in that, and I also believe that if people read and apply my book, I have no doubt their finances will improve, and they can dramatically, in fact. So I just leave them with the question, if that happens to them, to consider helping others that maybe aren't as lucky.
Now, you said early on in this interview that you always wanted to write a book. Is there another book in your future?
Possibly. I have a couple of ideas in my head, but this one is just recently released, so I'm going to spend some time marketing it. But yeah, I may write a second book. I have an idea or two.
So in the meantime, though, where can we find this particular book?
Well, I'd recommend that listeners go to my website, which is financialsuccess.tatepublishing.net, and that would be entered directly without the www at the front. And there they can find endorsements. I have a couple of major endorsements on my book. They'll find reviews, reader reviews, and a purchasing link. It's also available at Amazon.com and at most online booksellers. And I also have a Facebook page that can be found by the primary title of my book, which again is Financial Success for the Rest of Us. There's some good information there, and I would hope your listeners would visit the page and even click the like button.
Okay, give us that website again, please.
The book website is financialsuccess.tatepublishing.net.
All right, financialsuccess.tate, that's T-A-T-E, publishing.net.
That's correct. And again, just as it is without the www.
Okay, wonderful. Tony, thank you very much for being on the program today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Now, how a person manages their money makes more of a difference on their finances than how much money they make. Yet our schools fail to teach people how to manage their finances. Although there are many personal finance books, this one is really unique. It is more practical and easier to understand than most, and it enables people to quickly learn